Testing, testing. Testing. Testing, testing. Is that better? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to turn. No. Oh, stop. How's that? Is that better? There might be. Sing, Christine, sing. I'm not sure you can even hear me. Let's see. There might be. Okay. Well, it's annoying, but it's sound, isn't it? And it's not aliens chirping in your ears. Chirping in your ears. Do 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 do. I could try one thing that might help. Hold on. Uh-oh. Did that help? I think. Hold on. Well, this is the least relaxing ASMR I've ever been to. I want my money back. Okay, that's good, but it's very loud. The spirit in the sky. Yeah, how about that? Is it a little, let's make it a little warmer. That's what I meant. Make it a little warmer. Is that better? Is that a little less symphonic? I'm so sorry. I'm new at this, if you haven't noticed. I'm pretty new at this. Reverb. Oh. Yeah, I guess I'm doing something wrong with my little... Maybe that's it. Is that better? Maybe that's it. That dampens it down a bit. That might be better, right? I think that might be better. Maybe? Okay, good. All right. Excellent. Okay, I am learning. It's true. I actually don't know what I'm doing. It's also true. But hello. Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope you're good. I hope you're good. I went to Target today to get drill bits. I think I got it now. Oh my God, I learned something. We have to celebrate. Celebrate. No, I think I really did learn something because I've been having a lot of trouble with the combination of chords and things. And I've been trying to figure it out, and I haven't done a very good job, so. But now I think if I can remember this, we might be okay. But can she remember it? That's the thing. I don't know. But I do appreciate everyone being here. Oops, I need to stop touching the microphone is probably what I need to do. Thank you so much. I had kind of a breakthrough in the last couple of days, and I have two really big projects that I'm working on. One is a daily show, which I put out a little thumbnail on today, just for fun, just fucking around. New boot goofing. I got new boots, I'm new boot goofing. So, yeah, right now it's called the Daily Down Lolo. I don't know if I love that name. But what I want to do is commit to doing, well, which I can, a daily at noon. And just basically go over whatever clips or other things. Hi, Tom. That I want to talk about. And then, the real, if I'm out or whatever. But mostly just go over headlines and things like that. And then it's in addition to I love doing the hearings and the court dates and the other things that we're able to listen to or watch together. So I definitely want to keep doing all of those. I want to read more books, and the lounge will never change. I really feel like the lounge, where it is and what it is really important to me. And I think it's fun for other people. They look forward to it. So I want to keep doing it until people are sick of it. And then I won't do it anymore. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then I'm hesitant to talk about the other project that I'm working on. But I also might need some help on it. And I'm going to be honest, I just don't know. I want to be able to trust everybody with this idea. And I'm not sure. And maybe that means I'm not ready. But I'm writing it now. It's a podcast. I'll tell you that. It's some episodes. I've created the outline. And I'm writing the script. And I'm really excited about it. I don't think everybody's going to be excited about it, but I am. So, yeah. Sorry, that was kind of stupidly teasing, but I'm really anxious to talk about it and start working on it, but I also know that the minute I do that, it could not be good. So, anyway, those are the two things I'm working on. Oh, and then the other thing is that I'm going to record some music. So, I'm excited about that too. Your brother Sam is going to start filming in a few days. Girl, I would be so delighted. I would be delighted to have you on. Are you kidding me? Absolutely, Tom. 110%. I would be honored. I would be honored. That's great. I think that would be great. I know I do. Well, it won't be that surprising, but other people know how to do podcasts too. Shall I say? And yeah, I think I have a really good outline, frankly. I'm pretty excited about it. Now I just have to write it, which is always the hard part. I'm not actually a very good script writer or narrative writer. I used to be a good writer. Well, I wouldn't say a script writer. I've never written a script. But if the Girl Squad will have me, absolutely. Absolutely, Tom. I think you're already there. There's a few people who are already there just by virtue of how long we've all known each other. And all the heavy lifting that everybody does. Everybody has so much talent. It's kind of amazing. I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about one of the last times I talked to people who used to be friends of mine. And when I didn't know what was coming, I remarked on how wonderful it was to have found each other and to be able to create art. It's kind of funny. It's funny when people do that. They let you think things. And it turns out you're the one that's the fool. I know, yeah, I'm not a strong, I used to be better with words. Sometimes I can be silly, but I don't think I can actually write well, that's not true. I'll just write whatever I write and it'll be fine. It's not a big deal. That's the thing, you can't overthink this stuff, because if you do, I feel like you just never do it. I don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good. I think there should be. It's important to create. I think because time is so precious, that's all. That's why I think it's important. I mean, it's important to do things well, though, too. I wouldn't want that to ruin it. I don't know what happened to the earlier stream and why it just crashed. But there's a lot going on this screen. Isn't there? There's a lot going on that screen, lady. Anyway. Yeah. No, it's it's funny to me how difficult it is to express, in a way that everyone seems to understand. I don't know, that sounded really stupid when it came out. It was a little more stream of consciousness than I thought. I guess it's hard to be understood. Maybe that's what it is. I've always felt like that. I don't know if you guys have ever felt like that, but I've always felt like it's always been challenging for me to feel like I've been really understood, and it's not the other person's fault per se. I mean, it might be, but I also think it's because I don't even know how to say it. You know what I mean? And it's a feeling, whatever feeling it is, it's a feeling that can change. I don't know, I'm just talking. I'm just new boot goofing. An acquaintance was commenting to me earlier how surreal, my word, the way persons have built relationships through social media the past few years. It's amazing to me the collabs have come together. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Really, it could be quite an opportunity, actually. And, I don't know. How do you like my lake? How do you like our campfire? Do you guys like our campfire? The mountains, little clouds floating over the mountain tops. That lake is absolutely still, which is, of course, not real. But who cares? Doesn't matter. I don't think it really does. I'm not really sure what's going on with the little table over there by the fire, because it looks like it's too small to hold anything, doesn't it? But boy, I sure wish I was there. I know, right? It's a beautiful campsite. It's like a perfect campsite. I think I need to move to the country. I'm thinking about it. Just like outside of Los Angeles. Not leaving the area. Although I could be convinced. I can be convinced. But I think I need some nature. I think it's time for some nature. But, oh well. If wishes were horses, bakers would ride. Well, let's read some books, shall we? Oopsie. Whoops. Oh, no, please don't do that. I hate it when you do that. Okay, maybe you can do that. Everything going okay? All right, everything's stable. Okay. What we're reading is Democracy Awakening by Heather Cox Richardson, who is a historian who teaches at, I believe, Boston University. And this book describes the challenges to democracy over the years and through time, and brings us to the current day, which is where we find ourselves, and the time of Trump, the great Trojan horse. And we're continuing our reading of a couple of chapters as frequently as we can during the week and on the weekend. And this is chapter 16. I will say that there is strong language and sometimes historical situations that are traumatic to hear about, and quotations. So please guard your heart and your ears. And yeah, I hope that this puts you to sleep. I will not be offended. You don't need to do anything. There's no expectations of you right now. The only expectation is to find that comfortable spot. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders fall. And let yourself just sink into whatever seat you're in, or laying down, or standing firm, or leaning against a counter. Wherever you are, just find that absolute comfortable position. All right, chapter 16. Destabilizing the government. Even before the Senate acquitted him, Republicans in Washington told reporters that Trump was planning revenge against those who crossed him in the impeachment trial. It's payback time, one Republican said. He has an enemies list that is growing by the day. The day after his acquittal, Trump fired 2 key impeachment witnesses, U.S. Ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, and Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, the top expert on Ukraine at the National Security Council, who who had reassured his father that he would not face retaliation for his congressional testimony. Trump also fired Vindman's twin brother, Yevgeny, from the National Security Council. Yevgeny had reported Trump's phone call to superiors, but had not publicly testified against him. Days later, Trump put fierce loyalist John McEntee in charge of the White House Office of Personnel, urging him to ferret out anyone insufficiently. Hold on. Just want to change the setting here so it's not popping. Insufficiently loyal, and to make sure that the White House hired only true believers. McEntee had no experience in personnel or significant government work, but he and Trump set out to get rid of the 50,000 nonpartisan civil servants who are hired for their skills rather than their politics. Since 1883, those federal workers have been protected from exactly the sort of political purge Trump and McEntee wanted to execute. But the administration got around this safeguard by reclassifying certain federal workers covered by civil service protections as employees who work in a, quote, confidential, policy-determining, policy-making, or policy-advocating job. Those sorts of employees can be exempted from civil service protections. One Trump loyalist at the Office of Management and Budget identified 88% of his agency as movable to this new Schedule F. And yet, Republican leaders remained steadfastly silent, some apparently interested in getting the judges they wanted in place, others apparently afraid of Trump's increasingly vocal and potentially violent base. When he originally campaigned for the presidency, Trump had not seemed that different from his Republican predecessors. He complained about federal bureaucracy, embracing the idea that federal office holders simply sucked tax dollars. He promised his supporters he would drain the swamp of Washington, D.C., and when he began to fill the 4,000 or so political appointments presidents have to make when they take office, he chose cabinet secretaries who were wealthy and well-connected business people, or evangelicals, or both. But Trump quickly went further. He began by elevating his son-in-law and daughter, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, to positions within the administration as unpaid senior advisors. Neither faced Senate confirmation hearings, and they got around laws against hiring family members by declaring they would not take salaries. Kushner's ludicrous portfolio demonstrated Trump's faith that the right people could do anything. His brief eventually included ending the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, solving the opioid crisis, and so on, despite his lack of experience in any of the areas assigned to him. Trump's daughter Ivanka was similarly unelected and unqualified, but by March 2017 she had her own office in the West Wing. The following month she represented the U.S. at a meeting in Berlin of the Group of 20, or G20, an international forum designed to address global economic issues and made up of 19 countries with most of the world's largest economies, as well as the European Union. Replacing career professionals with family members and friends eroded one of the key pillars of democratic government, a bureaucracy loyal not to a leader, but to the state itself. Trump also cut swaths through nonpartisan career officials. As soon as he took office, he asked for the State Department, and the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, to cut their budgets by 37% and refused to fill positions there and elsewhere. When Congress would not cut funding for the Department of Agriculture, Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue announced that he was moving two of his department's research agencies from Washington, D.C. to Kansas City. He said that the move was to save money, but critics warned that career officials declined to move, it would gut the agencies. In the end, more than half of their employees quit. Once in office, Trump grew increasingly angry at the civil servants who continued to investigate his campaign's ties to Russia, insisting that they were all Democrats who wanted to hound him from office. He took advantage of his ability to fill positions temporarily while waiting for Senate confirmations, saying he liked the flexibility to move people in and out of office quickly. He relied on acting officials who needed no confirmation, rather than nominating permanent appointees. In April and May 2020, Trump slashed oversight of his administration. He fired the inspectors general of the Departments of Defense, Health and Human Services, and Transportation, all of whom were acting, and of the State Department and the intelligence community. That last one was Michael Atkinson, who had told the House Intelligence Committee that Acting Director of National Intelligence Joseph McGuire was withholding the whistleblower complaint, launching the Ukraine scandal. In his letter to McGuire, Committee Chair Adam Schiff had explicitly demanded that the administration not retaliate against Atkinson. In their place, Trump appointed inspectors he believed would be more compliant. Appointing unqualified figures is a key tactic of authoritarians who turn to staffers who are fiercely loyal because they are not qualified or talented enough to rise to power in a nonpartisan system. They recognize that without the leader who elevated them, they will never again be in power, and sometimes will be in prison, so they will cleave to him to the end. Trump's preference for acting advisors meant that he put into office those who would not be able to withstand scrutiny. At least 2 of them were in office illegally, the acting Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, and his acting deputy, Ken Cuccinelli. In spring 2020, Trump threatened to adjourn Congress and just appoint a whole slew of acting officials. On February 4th, 2020, the night before Senate Republicans acquitted him of the charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress in his first impeachment trial, Trump delivered the State of the Union address. The speech was a compellingly crafted narrative, with Trump as the all-powerful fictional hero. He once again presented a portrait of a nation that had been on the verge of catastrophe before he swept in to save it. It repeated a theme that ties into the American mythology of the cowboy who saves the villagers from destruction. Trump began by touting the successes of his administration, but it was all lies. He talked of how he had turned the economy around from the devastation of his predecessor, President Barack Obama, when in fact he had inherited a growing economy that had since slowed. And he talked of how Republicans were determined to protect health care and coverage for pre-existing conditions, even while his administration was, at that very moment, in court trying to destroy that access. He did not stop with the general myth, but went on to play the game show host turned autocratic ruler. In the course of the speech, he demonstrated that he, the president, could raise hurting individuals up to glory. He promoted an older African-American veteran to general. He awarded a scholarship to a child who had previously been unable to get one. He and his wife, Melania, award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to talk show host Rush Limbaugh, a man ill with terminal cancer, who obligingly pretended to be surprised and overwhelmed, although he had done interviews before the speech in which he had indicated he was aware of what was about to happen. He reunited a military family, contrived though all these scenarios were. They made him the catalyst for improving the lives of individuals in ways which we can all relate. It was reality TV, false, scripted, and effective. More than that, it was designed to demonstrate Trump's power. As communication scholar Michael Sokolow pointed out on Twitter, it mirrored the performance of Hitler, who worked similar transformations on individuals during his speeches to demonstrate that he had an almost magical power to change lives. The 2020 State of the Union was a fire and brimstone speech, with the good guys who were pure good lining up against the bad guys who were pure evil. Trump warned of the danger of others, undocumented individuals, for example. In his telling, they became vicious criminals, although studies overwhelmingly show that immigrants commit crimes far more rarely than native-born Americans. Republican congresspeople, who surely knew what they were hearing was completely divorced from reality, repeatedly jumped to their feet to applaud it. The president had made it clear he controlled the reliably Republican voters in his base, and no Republican could cross him. It was clearly Trump's party to do with as he wished. That is chapter 16. I'll take a minute here and I'll have a beverage and some weed. I had almost forgotten about what was that one part? What was it? Oh, the Joseph McGuire. Where the fuck is Joseph McGuire? Where's Joseph McGuire now? How do you withhold a fucking... Did I say mead? No. Wouldn't that be fun? No, it's not mead. That'd be too ridiculous. Although, it also would be a lot of work to make mead. Mead's a lot of work. But where's this Joseph McGuire Joker? I want to know. I want to know right now. Where are you, Joe McGuire? I want to see. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take a look, see. I'm going to take a see. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take a look, see. McGuire. Jerry Maguire? No, Joseph McGuire. He looks like an idiot. Whoa. Oh, Joe McGuire, appointed professor of practice at the LBJ School and executive director of Clement Center for National Security at the University of what now? Texas at Austin. Wow. I feel like I think it's actually probably clear that the University of Texas at Austin Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs is probably keenly aware of what Mr. McGuire, or excuse me, retired Admiral, Vice Admiral Joe McGuire did. I don't know, I feel like there should be some consequences, shouldn't there, for that? Shouldn't there? Shouldn't there be consequences for shouldn't there? Did he really hold the whistleblower complaint? Like, that's... This doesn't make any sense to me. This world doesn't make any sense to me. It's not that I didn't know people did bad things. I mean, I'm not stupid. I'd love to have an honest conversation with someone like Joe McGuire and say, can you honestly tell me what you were thinking? You know, like, I'd love to know. What are you thinking? I don't know why I want to know that. Seems so dumb. All right. Well, Joe McGuire, I have a feeling you and I are gonna spend some time on Twitter together. Ouch. I'll have to figure out. I wonder if he's been on any shows lately. I suppose not. Know what I'm doing with this microphone. Am I doing this right? I hope I am. I don't want to hurt it. Okay. Wow. I know the name Chad Wolf, but I don't really know what his dealio was. Sorry, I think that's really bad. Yeah, I don't really know what his deal was, but Gal knows all about him. The Gal Squad, actually, all of the folks know about him. Okay. I never smoked any weed. God damn it. Oh, yeah, weed. No, not mead. Weed. Yeah. Yeah, makes a little more sense. Okay. Let's do this. Chapter 17. Embracing Authoritarianism. What Trump wanted was to be reelected, possibly to take advantage of the Department of Justice policy that a sitting president should not be charged with a crime, possibly to consolidate his power and become one of the autocrats he admired. It did not appear that he was particularly interested in the job itself. From February 2020 onward, his entire focus would be on re-election. But in March, the U.S. outbreak of the novel coronavirus pandemic threw a monkey wrench into Trump's plans. The administration had ignored the pandemic preparedness measures the Obama administration had put in place, and when a wave of desperately ill coronavirus patients hit U.S. hospitals, a lack of personal protective equipment, PPE, had medical personnel wearing garbage bags to care for them. Hold on just a second. Oh my gosh. I did not want to cough in your ear, but I did. Sorry. This is when you need someone on the control. On the controls. Someone's got to be on the controls. Okay, sorry about that. All right, let's try this again. No. Okay. Jeez Louise. Okay, here we go. Sorry. That was terrible. Okay. When a wave of desperately ill coronavirus patients hit U.S. hospitals, a lack of personal protective equipment had medical personnel wearing garbage bags to care for them. To manage the crisis, the administration sidestepped professionals from the Federal Emergency Management Agency and gave Kushner more responsibility, putting him in charge of a coronavirus response team to create a so-called public-private partnership that would get the private sector on board to fight the pandemic. Kushner gathered a team from consulting and private equity firms to find the personal protective equipment and other supplies in the country lacked. Kushner outlined his approach for reporters on April 3rd. This is a time of crisis, and you're seeing people are better managers than others. You're seeing certain people are better managers than others. The president also wanted us to make sure we think outside the box, make sure we're finding all the best thinkers in the country, making sure we're getting all the best ideas. He instructed members of the team to pay special attention to tips from VIPs, including right-wing journalists. But Kushner's team didn't know hospital specifications, have connections with suppliers, or know the laws surrounding equipment. Their response was inadequate and incoherent. Faced with that chaos, the administration blamed the World Health Organization for working with China and formally withdrew from the organization in July. Then it embraced a strategy of mass infection and replaced information from medical professionals with political messaging. Eventually, it settled on demonizing Dr. Anthony Fauci, who had directed the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases for 4 decades and had received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President George W. Bush. They blamed him for a range of offenses, from not identifying the origin of the disease, to blocking quack cures, to imposing mask mandates. Meanwhile, U.S. rates of infections and deaths were among the worst in the world. Finally, Trump openly rejected the idea that the federal government had any responsibility for managing the pandemic. He insisted that governors should be the ones to issue stay-at-home orders, and he refused to use the Defense Production Act to speed up production of PPE, although he did use it to enable meatpacking industry leaders to continue production without addressing the health and safety of their workers. He told states they were on their own for testing and masks. Oh, I remember all this. It's just terrible, isn't it? The administration's full-blown embrace of the long-standing attempt to destroy the active federal government of liberal consensus did more than that. It recreated exactly the conditions the liberal consensus was designed to end. It enabled a few well-connected individuals to turn a public need into a private fortune. When other countries sent masks, gowns, and so on, they went not to the states or to FEMA, but to the private sector to sell at up to 15 times their usual cost. The official in charge of distributing the material said this was because the private sector already had efficient distribution systems in place, and, he told reporters, "I'm not here to disrupt a supply chain." I didn't even know that. In April, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York begged Trump to fill the federal void and appoint a senior military officer as a czar to coordinate a federal response to the crisis and use the DPA to increase production, procurement, and distribution of medical devices and equipment. He called for a data-driven, organized, and robust plan from the federal government. Trump responded, "If you spent less time on your ridiculous impeachment hoax, which went haplessly on forever and ended up going nowhere except increasing my poll numbers, and instead focused on helping the people of New York, then New York would not have been so completely unprepared for the invisible enemy." Schumer had, in fact, called for a declaration of a public health emergency on January 26. By mid-April, Trump appeared desperate. The pandemic had crashed the economy, a key factor for re-election. The administration was botching its response to the crisis, and significant pushback was coming from those terrified of infection, worried about the shortages of the most basic supplies, and suddenly laid off. When, in the absence of federal policy, governors shut down their states to combat the spread of the deadly virus, Trump made an extraordinary announcement. He had absolute authority to force states to reopen, he said. When somebody is the President of the United States, the authority is total. The federal government has absolute power, and he had the absolute right to use that power if he wanted to. In some ways, this profound misunderstanding of the power of the presidency was simply the logical outcome of Trump's belief in hierarchical ranks. He had always denigrated those he had perceived as weak or inferior. His campaign rallies were orgies of dominance displays. Once he was in office, his advisors had sought to enforce that hierarchy by using the power of government against society's weakest members. They had, for example, violated both U.S. and international law to deter immigration by separating children from their parents at the southern border between the U.S. and Mexico. It was an astonishing assertion that their policies trumped both rights and the law. Officers kept no records to enable the reunion of the traumatized families of more than 5,000 separated children. By 2020, Trump was stronger than he had been in 2017. He had consolidated his supporters through disinformation about the Russia investigation. The Ukraine scandal brought the entire Republican Party to his defense. He had removed professionals from government positions and installed cronies in their place. And most of all, he had turned more and more consistently to his base, including their violent gangs for support, intimidating party members who might challenge him. In 2019, Trump tried to use the power of the federal government in foreign affairs to rig the election. In 2020, he set out to rig the election by using the power of the federal government at home. Trump brought all of his tools to the effort. He assured his supporters that they were in the majority, that he would win, and that if he lost, it would be because the system was rigged. Then, as Republicans openly acknowledged that high voter participation would be extremely devastating to the Republicans, Trump and his allies worked to keep his opponents from voting. Put in charge of the United States Postal Service, Trump loyalist Louis DeJoy dramatically rearranged service hours, trashed mail sorting machines, and raised the cost of posting mail-in ballots, all at a time when the pandemic meant in-person voting could be deadly. Meanwhile, Trump and his allies weaponized the pandemic. ignoring health concerns and complaining that Democrats were deliberately sabotaging the economy. Although polls showed that 2/3 of Americans were worried that lockdown rules would be lifted too early, the Fox News channel advertised rallies to reopen businesses and schools, and then showed protests in Colorado, Illinois, Florida, Tennessee, Wisconsin, and Washington, organized by some of the same Republican operatives who had organized the Tea Party movement in 2009. Trump whipped up the violence he had endorsed in 2017 at Charlottesville against the state governors trying to manage the horror in their states. Liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, liberate Virginia, and save your great Second Amendment. It is under siege, Trump tweeted on April 17th. In Michigan, gangs waving Trump signs and flying Confederate flags claimed that lockdown orders violated their liberty and shouted "Lock her up" at Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer. On April 30th, armed protesters calling themselves American Patriots rallied at the Michigan State House to threaten the legislators, and the lack of response by law enforcement cheered others on. Then on May 25, 2020, Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd by kneeling on his neck for nearly 9 minutes. A bystander captured a video of Floyd's death on her phone, and the visual demonstration of a white government officer casually murdering a black American brought protesters in Minneapolis and then Los Angeles, Denver, Chicago, and New York to the streets, insisting that Black Lives Matter. Protests spread to Phoenix, Arizona, as well as Louisville, Kentucky, where 26-year-old Breonna Taylor had been killed in her home on March 13th by plainclothes police officers executing a warrant to search for drugs they believed a man with whom Taylor had previously had a relationship might have sent her. He had not. The protests gave Trump the excuse he needed to use troops against Americans. When the looting starts, the shooting starts, Trump tweeted on May 29th. He insisted the protesters were organized and driven by anarchic and left extremist groups, far left extremist groups using Antifa-like tactics, many of whom travel from outside the state to promote the violence. Attorney General William Barr backed him up, noting, "It is a federal crime to cross state lines or to use interstate facilities to incite or participate in violent rioting, and we will enforce those laws." On June 1st, after a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Trump told state governors on a phone call, "You have to dominate. If you don't dominate, you're wasting your time. You've got to arrest people. You have to track people. You have to put them in jail for 10 years and you'll never see this stuff again." Later that day, a massive police presence, including officers from Customs and Border Protection, cleared peaceful protesters from Lafayette Square, across from the White House, using tear gas, rubber bullets, and flashbang explosives to prepare for an appearance by the president. Then, accompanied by senior officials representing the Department of Justice, the National Security Council, the military, and family members, including Kushner and Ivanka, Trump crossed the square and walked to historic St. John's Episcopal Church. Surrounded by cameras, he held up a Bible and said, "We have a great country, the greatest country in the world. We will make it even greater. It's coming back. It won't take long. It's coming back strong. It will be greater than ever before." That day was a turning point. The Black Lives Matter movement was a popular protest against rising authoritarianism, and 2/3 of adult Americans supported it. But while Republican lawmakers remained silent, the events of June 1st made political leaders, including all 4 living presidents, more than 1,250 former members of the Department of Justice, Democratic lawmakers, and crucially, military leaders, take a stand against Trump. It was virtually unheard of for military officers to comment on politics, but a wave of leaders from U.S. Air Force, Army, and Navy spoke up to call for justice for Black Americans and to reiterate that their loyalty was to the U.S. Constitution. Because their cooperation would be imperative for Trump to pull off an authoritarian takeover, their warning that June 1st, 2020 might well, quote, "signal the beginning of the end of an American experiment," grabbed headlines. Implicitly and sometimes explicitly, they condemned the president. the Pentagon disarmed the National Guard troops stationed in Washington, D.C., and sent the regular troops that had been moved to the city back to their home bases. Far from ending the crisis, the military's resistance drove Trump to try to create his own army. With the help of Attorney General William Barr, he took control of the law enforcement teams from the FBI, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, the Secret Service, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the CBP, and 80 other smaller forces that make up about 132,000 federal law enforcement officers. On July 20th, the Trump administration announced it would send federal officers into cities run by Democrats, ostensibly to fight crime there. Acting Director of Homeland Security Chad Wolf dismissed the objections to federal intervention in Chicago and elsewhere, saying, "I don't need invitations by the state mayors, or state governors to do our job. We're going to do that, whether they like us there or not." 2 days later, the Trump campaign released an ad suggesting that the choice in 2020 was between public safety and chaos. Excuse me. Whoa. Sorry. A little bit of a minute break here. Okay. 2 days later, the Trump campaign released an ad suggesting that the choice in 2020 was between public safety and chaos and violence. But observers quickly noted that the image of street violence in the ad was not from the United States. It was from Ukraine in 2014. And the image was not of police officers defending the rule of law. It was the opposite. It was a picture of democratic protesters being attacked by the forces of corrupt oligarch Viktor Yanukovych, who had won Ukraine's presidency thanks to the help of Paul Manafort. It was hard not to see the error as intentional. Oh, that's the end of that chapter. Let me see how long 18 is. Oh, it's not long at all. But I'll take a minute and stretch. Oh. I don't think I knew that other part either. I don't think I knew that other part. Hold on. I don't think I knew the part about... Hold on, which part? I don't think I knew the part... I didn't know the part about him reorganizing the armed, or the whatever, what did they call it? 132,000 what? What was that? Oh, here we go. Far from ending, the military started to create his own army with the help of Attorney General William Barr. He took control of the law enforcement teams from the FBI. From all of these agencies, he took the law enforcement teams. Well, I don't recall ever hearing about that. How did I... Oh. I don't think the way that was communicated didn't say what this says to me. So, wow, we really... I don't understand this place. We gotta get out of this place. Wow. That needs some weed. That's what that needs. Crazy for feeling so lonely. I guess so. I guess so, Tom. I feel kind of foolish not knowing, you know? Like I didn't know it was that. I didn't know he had redeployed law enforcement teams. Ouch. I did not know that. I did not know that. Actually I probably won't read another chapter. I might leave it for another night. But yeah. I didn't know. So what did we do? We did 16 and 17. Right. Footnote. A footnote? What footnote? What footnote? Ow! 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 Okay, cat. I am not part of the chair. I'm sorry. I just got attacked by a small cat. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. Please don't step on. Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. Ow. What footnote? I missed it. What footnote? God, I think you drew blood. These cats. Did I don't. There are some footnotes, but I didn't read them. I should have. But it's funny that we don't. It's funny that we don't. Like, where'd we go wrong? What should we do now? Like, what should I'm thinking mostly of journalists. Like, what should journalists be doing now? I did hear. I caught when I was in the car on my way to Target. Because I went to Target. Took control. Footnote. Took control of law enforcement. Yeah. I feel like that's something that we should be. I don't feel like he's that smart. Like, I don't feel like he's smart enough to figure all that stuff out. So who was telling him to do that kind of stuff? I guess that's not. Is that not like. Yeah, you're right. Talk to Gen Z. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. But yeah, no, you're right. We do. We have to get out the vote. We have to get out the vote, and we have to run for things. Hi. Yeah, don't do that. You're gonna. Don't nuzzle the microphone. Don't you dare bite the microphone stand, you whippersnapper. You little whippersnapper. Don't eat my microphone. Anyway. Yeah. Crazy cuckoo. I think I started early, didn't I? I didn't even check what time my show was. I just went ahead and turned on the computer. As Tony Michael said earlier, stand up for women's rights. Yeah, that's a good idea. Stand up for, I mean, the thing is I really feel strongly about voting rights. I think, in terms of a priority, I think if we could stop, if we could stop, if we could get dark money out of politics, no more Citizens United, get dark money out of politics. It has to be a person. A person has to be giving the money. And do the thing on TV where it's equal time. Remember, it used to be that you had to give equal time to each party. You couldn't, like, focus on one, and we ended up letting him have all the time. There needs to be some kind of fairness doctrine, but I'm not so worried. I mean, I am worried about that, but I think you need to get dark money out of politics. I think you also need to get rid of gerrymandering and establish voting rights. That's what I think. And I think you need to federalize abortion access. And I think you need to fund public education. I have a ton of ideas. No one's asking me, though. It's okay. Saw perhaps not entirely true panic shitter about voter. Oh. Well, I remember when I called Georgia, the whole push was because a lot of Georgia voters had been removed from the rolls. So yeah, calling voters just to make sure they're registered is huge. And there are a lot of good organizations that do it. I used to work with, or just volunteered with Stand Up for Racial Justice. But there's so many good groups. Make people understand the importance of state elections. You know what, though? I mean, still, when I filled out the primary ballot this time, it didn't take as long as, like, the midterms. What's the matter? But it definitely took like a day and a half to fill out the ballot because of all the judges. And then this thing called a central committee. My daughter and I wrote my name in for it. You had to choose 7 people, and I literally could not choose 7 because there were so many poopy heads on there. So, what are you going to do? What are you doing, sir? What? Yeah. So, I don't know how to make that simpler, but there has to be better information, especially about judges. There's the local bar where they do qualified, well qualified, not qualified, all that stuff. But that doesn't even tell you everything. I don't know. Your local union. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I never even thought of that. I do look for the endorsements. I definitely look for the endorsements to see if there's people that I like. I don't know, it's tough though. I don't know what the answer is. I guess we don't have to solve it right now. How do you judge a judge? Don't judge me, Your Honor. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, Judge. Your Honor. And call them. How would you judge a judge? Fairly. Quite fairly. Anyway. Crazy times. Call them. Yes. I also look for the SEIU. Service workers. I look to see who they are. That's actually one of the first groups I look for. I like the people that run the SEIU in California. Is that a national union? I think it is, right? SEIU? Maybe not. Or is it just state employees? Maybe it's just state employees. I don't know. I don't know. But they're pretty progressive. I always look for the progressives too. Like what progressive groups are endorsing. I don't know. It's not perfect by any stretch. You know what else is really beautiful? I don't think you can really see it, but in the picture that I have, there's like this little patch of grass. Like if you're looking out at the lake, to your right, there's a little patch of grass. That's where I would put the tent. I don't know why I didn't put the tent up yet, but I hope I wouldn't wait until nighttime to put my tent up. I don't think I would. I don't think I would wait. Well, yeah, and then what's the other one? For the film people, IATSE. I look at that one too. So, for crew. But yeah, no, unions are sometimes a good place to look for. Look for the union label. I remember that. Oh my gosh, I remember that cartoon. It was a commercial, I guess. God, I could just sit here and look at this lake all night. Someone asked earlier about where young people can get good jobs. I said the trades. There is a shortage of union skilled trades. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Apprentices are needed. I know. People should do that. I think people should work on boats. I enjoyed working on boats. It was really gratifying. I'll tell you what, you could live on a boat and you feel like every day is a vacation. I mean, until you have to pay the bill, but I'm telling you, there's nothing better than waking up on the ocean, or on the water, I should say. I mean, I hope you don't wake up on the ocean, because you should wake up on a marina, not on a moor. Well, actually, I love mooring, but you shouldn't moor on the ocean either. It's not where you moor. Okay, it's not really calm. But yeah, anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. I deeply appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know what tomorrow is. Let's see, tomorrow's Thursday. Oh man, there's this beautiful breeze. This beautiful breeze just came in the window. Oh God. Yes, apprentices needed. Shipbuilding, yeah. I guess it's, I mean, the thing is that you can't do that forever. You can't do physical labor forever. I mean, I couldn't do the same physical labor I used to be able to do. But, I mean, because of arthritis and stuff. But, in fact, I was gonna... Oh, what are you doing? Are you gonna do that right there? I hope we got hairball action. What was I gonna say? I can't remember. Probably wasn't very important. Anyway. Well, my friends, Well, my friends, this is the end. Sounded like, wait, where is that? Oh, that's the lounge logo. There's the lounge music. Oh, there it is right there. So, oh, and, I did, thanks to the amazing super chats of the loungers, I got us a professional Zoom account so that at least up to 100 of us, and I don't think I've ever hit 100, but theoretically up to 100 of us can watch a movie all together if people want to sign into Zoom, which we could probably figure out a way. But anyway, that's another place to share information. And there's so many movies. Oh my gosh. I know, I'm so behind. We need to have more movie nights. I've been very trying to figure out how things are going to land. Yeah, I know. I'm excited. So, soon, I promise. I'm going to be gone a couple days next week at the end of the week. So I'm going to be offline, I think. And then I'll probably be offline. In fact, I don't know if there's going to be a lounge next week on the 22nd. I'm not sure I'm going to be doing a lounge. I probably won't. Trading Places. Oh my god, I haven't seen that in so long. Well, the thing I'm going to start with is I want to do the three movies from Monty Python. I thought I'd stop. I know, Trading Places is funny. But I thought we'd start with some Monty Python since people seem to really enjoy that idea. But definitely Trading Places. Definitely. I want to do Spaceballs too. I want to do some Mel Brooks. That's funny. And then do like serious movies too. Or whatever. Whatever we want. Oh, Princess Bride. That would be nice. That would be nice. We should do that. Actually, you know what? That would probably be a nice first movie, wouldn't it? Real feel-good movie. Anyway, all right. I should let everyone go. All right, my loves. I want you to go to sleep. Go the fuck to sleep. Oh no, it's not that late. On the West Coast, it's not that late. But I hope you get some sleep. And I hope you join us tomorrow or whenever when we try again. As we try again. That's right. As we wake up and try again, kids. Stay strong. Tom and I could do Princess Bride. You probably could both do Princess Bride right now. This is why I insist that it must be our first film for many reasons. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's in the top 10, maybe the top 7, maybe. As you wish. As you wish, Tom. As you wish. Oh wait, what is that? Okay, enough of that. All right, well, we'll have to plan it then. Sounds good to me. All right, friends, have a good night. Have a lovely Thursday. Spend a good time with good people. And, wow, just have a good one and get some good rest. I hope you rest well. And I hope tomorrow is a good day. I am not left-handed. Wait, I can't remember any lines right now. I'm literally missing everything. As you were, as you wish. I said that to a girlfriend. She punched you in the shoulder. Uh-oh. Oh, I think it's sweet, though. I mean, I guess it depends on the circumstances. But anyway, all right. Good night, my friends. Have a good one. See you later. I just don't want to leave this campsite, but we must. Okay, good night.